We have Mr. A.S. Rai with us, who is the ADGP at Punjab Police. So, welcome to this room, sir, and thank you so much for taking out the time and joining us.
Anshuman, thank you so much, and thank you for introducing me to this forum. And a very interesting topic you have brought up. And my personal feeling, I come from a time when technology was not so pervasive, and my personal feeling is that anything which can be reduced to numbers, which can be uh, calibrated, which can be put in figures, that thing loses out on something very essential and something which is unique to us, which is a human consciousness. Human consciousness or humanity is something which can never be calibrated, which can not be put to any figure as such. I was listening to a very good discussion on consciousness in the early hours today, and this was being deliberated how if the feelings and emotions can be calibrated, would we have a augmented kind of a system, or would we have a AI kind of thing where emotions would also be calibrated. uh, I don't know, but it's important that we don't start reducing everything to number, because then what is going to happen is that we are going to lose out. We are going to become more of robots, uh, robotic in our thinking, robotic in our functioning, and we are going to miss out on the unique pleasure of being a human being who can feel, who has emotions. These are things which may be like tough to lead a life with uncertainty, but these uncertainties also give you a unique pleasure in themselves. These are my views, and I close here. I submit my point here. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you for your views there, and we completely agree with you. Kunal, sir, you have something to say?
Uh, so while we've started talking about consciousness, let me try and bring out another very probably very interesting for the audience viewpoint about consciousness as such, and taking it to another level. And consciousness actually drives our decision making, including being a consumer or not, and picking one product over the other, etc. So it's worth deliberating a little on consciousness. So guys, let me explain an idea, and it's not my idea. It's a scientist I follow for a number of years who's come up with this idea, and it somewhere connects with the deep Indian spiritual talks and thought processes that have been well documented over thousands of years. Let me give an example first. So you guys might have played some video game, right? Some video game on which you see something on the screen. Let's say you are playing a car racing game in which you move your mouse or your steering or your keyboard, and then the car on the screen moves, right? We've all seen that. Uh, but do you know that there is no real car in the screen? You all understand that. It's just some pixels, some zeros and ones that are representing and showcasing a car for easy interpretation of a human mind, right? But in reality, behind the scenes, in the computer operating system, in the computer motherboard, there are zeros and ones, electric signals being passed, which are way more complex for us to interpret, right? You understand that. That is how the human brain and our life works as well. The world we live in, one of the hardest problems in the world is the consciousness problem. That's what they call that. You can't explain consciousness. Everyone has their own. Right now, whatever I'm saying, I'm interpreting it differently in my mind. All of you are interpreting it differently in your own minds, right? That's a subjective recording, replay, interpretation we are going through. This is part of our consciousness. There are many more things in consciousness. This is one of them. No scientist has ever been able to describe very well what consciousness is, what drives it, how do you get ideas, how do you get inspired, how do you do certain things. And it's somewhere coded in 80 billion neurons in our head that actually move electric signals over time, which we've not been able to decode so far. The reason we've not been able to decode so far, according to one scientist whose name is Donald Hoffman, and he's proving this for decades using some maths and science behind, is that we take space and time as one of our constructs in all science. Space and time are constant and they are assumed to be there. But he says that the world we live in, the space and time we see, everything around us is essentially nothing but like a computer screen. It's a 3D user interface. Let this sink in. The world we are living in, it's like a video game, it's like a 3D user interface. Our brains and what's behind is actually somewhere else in the motherboard, somewhere else in the operating system, somewhere else in the cloud, somewhere else in the server, somewhere else where it's all getting connected and operated from. And all we are seeing is what you see in a car racing game. When you try to move a car on the screen, the world we live in is a user interface. The real deep spiritual meanings are way deeper, and for that there are portals to connecting to consciousness, to the universe differently. And exist, again, all disclaimers apply, there exist some drugs actually in which they give you those experiences where you go way deeper in your spirituality, or there are other ways of achieving spirituality through meditation, through yoga, through other means, where you actually connect inside with your own operating system rather than just seeing the interface that we see. This is why the consciousness problem has not been solved for centuries so far, not by any scientist, at least as yet. Some spiritually, they have been somehow talked about in Vedas and many other Indian, Chinese, ancient literature, which we are not very well connected with and are not very well aware of. But just imagine the world that we live in. It's essentially a user interface. It's like the 2D screen on your monitor. That's the life we are living in, and that's where we will never understand deeply what's going on beyond a point. We'll just keep playing this game. So
Sir, just a small clarification here, that are you talking about the theory that the whole world and our life is nothing but a simulation? Is that what you're talking about, sir?
Arguably, probably, I'm not just concluding that, but I'm just saying essentially what we see around us, what interaction we are having right now as an example, it's just in the interface. It is just a user interface. You could argue it as a simulation, you could argue it as a game, you could argue it as a whatever you like as life. But in reality, what's happening behind, if you're sitting, as an example, if you're sitting in the car game and you are the character in the car, is there any way by being in the car you can never figure out what's going on outside? You don't have that perspective at all, right?
Right.
If Now this is what I'm trying to say. In the world we live in the game we play, in the simulation we might be in, or the physical world as we understand, we do not understand what's happening behind. We are stuck inside, hence we are unable to see outside. In order to see outside, we have to connect with a bigger universe spiritually, some other how, which we don't know, and there are some ways and techniques tried, tested, failed, etc. But yes, essentially I'm saying that this is a user interface, and a scientist has taken 3 decades to prove it mathematically as well.
Wow.
His name is Donald Hoffman or Reid Hoffman. Donald Hoffman. Reid Hoffman is an actor. Donald Hoffman. Google him up or connect with me offline. I'll send you his videos. And he does say that yes, life is like a game. It's like a simulation. We are in a user interface, and what's happening behind, we have no idea about so far. We are just stuck within the interface itself, and all the research, science, everything we've done, it's just in the interface itself, and hence it's limited. It cannot figure out the problem of consciousness. Because sir brought about the consciousness, talked about it, I was just taking it a step further on one
No,
of
no,
the
that's
things I
right,
found.
sir.
Yeah,
In fact,
yeah.
for the people who have just joined us, I would like to tell you that this room started at about 7 p.m. and we were talking about consumerism, and we were actually planning to end the session in about 15-20 minutes. But Rai sir came here and he started a very, very interesting topic. And now it's 10:30 and we're talking about some trippy concepts like is this life a simulation? So this is something which is very interesting, and if anyone in the audience has heard of such theories, if you know anything about spirituality, or if you've heard of something that you want to share here, please do raise your hands and we'd be happy to have you on the stage. And Rai sir, what is your perspective and what is your opinion on what Kunal sir said?
I second what Kunal is saying, and I suggest Kunal, if you can switch off your mic, that would make the yeah. I fully second what Kunal was saying, and what I was suggesting is that in this consumerism, in this game where we are being played upon, there is a way to lead a life which is much richer, which gives a human being a greater autonomy and a greater space to operate upon. And in this consumeristic culture and this technology driven life, what we are increasingly feeling is a lot of suffocation, and our operating space and our autonomy is being limited day by day. I submit here.
No, that's actually really nice of you, sir, to bring up this topic. And thanks to you that we have started this new discussion. And this is something which is close to all our hearts because we really want to know how can we genuinely be independent, free of all stereotypes, and make the right choices. So thanks to you for starting this topic. And Prachi here raised her hand while this topic was on. So Prachi, what would you like to add here?
Um, Hi, thank you for letting me speak here. So while I was listening to Kunal talk about consciousness and the life being a simulation, I myself have backed that theory a lot and discussed elaborately about it with many of my friends. One of the questions that it always ends on is if we are in a simulation, will we have that kind of a mental capability to even know and think of this, what do we say, idea that we are in a simulation itself?
That's actually a very good question, Kunal sir, and maybe
So, yeah, so I think, look, number one, I'm not an expert. I'm still on the journey of discovering consciousness and becoming more self aware. I'm learning some of these things as I speak, so I'm not an expert by any means. But I think being able to question and being able to get out of the simulation or getting aware of it, that's already happening.
that we have. Over to you, Nimisha.
Hi guys, thank you, Anshuman. So basically, I firstly that we were talking about all of the life being a simulation. I just want to bring in an aspect of human behavior here that as we are born, we become a reflection of the people around us. Like we take values from our parents, we see our siblings, and then we hold on to those values. Then we go out, we meet other people, and it's said that you are a summation of like the five people around you. So you adopt some values or some behavior from someone that you like, and you become like them. For me, I am just saying that someone really the person's personality is a lot defined by who he has been with throughout their life and the kind of friends they have. That affects a lot, who someone is. And you don't realize it. You think that is like the life should be, like how you're living it with the people that are around you. And yeah, like in reality, you are just like a summation of all these experiences, all the people you meet, all the habits that they have. For instance, if you like drinking something, there must be some person who introduced you to it and your taste buds like it in that particular way. Now in future you're going to meet someone else who drinks something else, and you will be like, oh, this is also nice. So it all affects your behavior. And the more you go out, the more you travel, the more new people you meet, you will adapt some of their habits, you will leave some of these things behind. And in summation, you will be a simulation of all the people you meet and all the places you have been. So this is something that I have observed. I connecting it to a human behavioral self, and we will see it all around us. You can see it if you see your friends. You will connect the friends that you have from college or from school. There will be some common ground between you guys, something that connects you. It's not like you are totally opposite, and you became friends on some level, on some values you will connect. So this is something that I feel, just wanted to bring a human behavior analysis into it. Now
That's
coming.
actually very true, Nimisha. Thanks a lot for sharing. And yes, we have all heard this a lot that we need to choose our company very wisely. We need to choose our friends very wisely because we are what we are. I mean, we are an amalgamation of the top five people that we spend most of our time with. So you are absolutely right there. And
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing your perspective. And the next speaker that we have with us is Ribha. So over to you, Ribha.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So I agree with Nimisha that she has told that we are a simulation of all the experiences and people around us, and that our existence is basically socially and morally structured, so to say. But if we talk about spirituality, like Sunny was saying, that where do we find God? And, even after Ricer told him the entire thing, he was like, where do I find God? So the thing is that, again, Kunal also told him that you are not going to find God outside. It is like how you connect with yourself. So when we are born, we are in our most natural self, but then we actually acquire things from outside, and we become what we become in the process. But real spirituality, I would say, is connecting to our true spirit, how we were born. And the higher purpose, therefore, is to evolve ourselves to go to a higher state of being. So for me, I mean, spirituality, higher purpose for is same for everyone. We are born so that we can reach at a level where we are the most satisfied. Even we have those pyramids that many theorists have talked about, that we have this pyramid of I forgot. I mean, we have Maslow's theory as well. So I think the higher purpose is common for all of us, for all human beings, that we have to reach at a stage where we have the maximum satisfaction with minimum needs. So this is not something that comes easily. We take many births, as our as we know that there are so many births that we have to take, after which we attain that salvation, so to say. So I believe it's not an easy thing. And like Sunny is the best part is the Sunny is questioning everything. So he is in this group, and he knows that he wants it, but again, there is a little effort that needs to be taken to reach there. So I think spirituality is not something that you get very easily. You have to find time for it. You have to isolate yourself at times from people, from different energies that distract you, and reconnect to yourself. So it's not about learning something from outside. It's like going deeper and bringing yourself to the base.
A lot, Ribha, and you put it very well. And apologies for that person who came in and just did something. So, but
That's
anyway,
okay.
I think just like life, this room has also come into a full circle. We started with consumerism is more always better. Then we moved on to startups, funding, bootstrapped, and now after talking about spirituality and consciousness, we are back to the same point that more is not better, and we need to have a minimalist approach. So, thanks to you, Ribha, for that. And Kunal sir, do you have something to add here, please?
Yeah, just want to add one point. So, firstly, whatever Nimisha and Riba said are absolutely correct. I think, uh, we, as Aristotle said, a Greek philosopher, it's good as long as we know what we don't know. So, knowing that we don't know what we want, what is spirituality, what's our higher purpose, is important. But if we don't even know that we don't know it, then it's a big problem, and that's what probably most people live with, generally speaking. So I think I just want to add one point that slightly adding on to the thing that we were saying, that we are the summation of five people and all. While that might be true, and of course it applies within some context and all that, but I want to highlight a couple of points which will make you wonder and understand a bit more of how deeply connected we all are. Think about our evolution. So think about one thing. Some of you might have a sweet tooth. Okay, so you get some sweets. Your body cannot take or need more than X calories and whatever sweeteners that are there. But we end up eating like 1, 2, 3, 4 rasgullas, gulab jamuns, burfis, or anything. Okay, I'm just taking an analogy and an example. Trust me, it will make sense. But do you know why that is? Why do we eat so much sweets? Most of us do. Rarely you would find someone who would not like chocolate or sweets or something, right? Most of us do eat that. The reason is that for tens of thousands of years ago, when we were living, humans were living as hunter gatherers, which were not five of our nearby people and all, who were just our ancestors or forefathers or even before that, they used to do hunting and gathering every day, and they would sometimes come across in the jungles some trees which had berries and sweet fruits or something, and they would know that they may not find such a tree again for days to come, weeks to come, or months to come. So what they would do is, at that stage, because there was limited supply and high uncertainty they may not find it, they started eating more than they needed. So they would eat it all day, keep eating and keep sitting under the tree until they get fed up or full, or they finish the fruit, or they have to move on because the weather has changed. That was a temptation, and since then we have neurologically, biologically developed the sweet tooth, which still exists, which is still part of our 80 billion neurons network, where the signal is, you get something sweet, you eat more and more and more. And it applies even today, when now there is abundance of sweets, we can have as much as we want, but still we get that thing. So the point I'm trying to make is that actually we are all way more connected than we understand. Of course, we might be more influenced by 5 people around us with whom we spend more time, but let's say this clubhouse, today's conversation has ignited some neurons in me. I've learned something from some of you, you might have learned something from me, and that way is also we are influencing everyone else. And this is what the deeper spiritual connection, the higher consciousness of all of us connected means as well. So just adding to this one point, that we are way more connected than 5 people, because those 5 people may be connected with another 5, and actually the cycle just continues. So we are getting influenced by people and things we don't even know, and they don't even know, because there is more in our subconscious than what is in our conscious. Okay, our subconscious is way more deeper and way more storing knowledge and information than our consciousness does. Just adding a few more points here, but otherwise I think we're all on similar page.
Yes, that's true, sir. Thanks a lot. And I think you are absolutely true when you say that we don't know most of the things, if we're connected or not. And one thing that I'd like to add here is that I don't know if it's in a simulation or not. None of us knows that. But I mean, be it a simulation or not, be it this real universe, but there are still a lot of things that humans don't have even 1% idea of. I mean, it is proven that there are colors that the human eye cannot see. We do not have any idea how big the universe is. We do not know how deep the ocean is. There are so many unanswered questions that we have absolutely no idea about. So, even if this is a simulation or not, there is a lot that has to be figured out. And I think ultimate consciousness is the answer to that. And it has been an absolute pleasure. And also follow the speakers and moderators here. Kunal sir is an angel investor. He's a serial entrepreneur. He is heading 3 IT companies right now, and he is a great thinker and a speaker. And similarly, AS Rai sir is the ADGP at Punjab Police, and you've seen yourself that he is someone who is a great speaker, and he has a lot to say about consciousness, about spirituality. So please do follow all the speakers, and we will be organizing and posting more rooms. Do get in touch with us on offline also. We would be more than happy to connect with you on other platforms, and that is how we will collaborate, and that is how we will be more linked. Like we were talking about that, how humans are linked to each other, and that is how we can collaborate and work in the future also. So thanks a lot for joining in, guys. I will be ending this room now. Thanks a lot, Kunal sir and AS Rai sir, for joining in. It's been an absolute pleasure to be in conversation with you.